Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's session. My name is Sandras Phiri. I'm the CEO and founder of Pranary, the Practical Business School. And today we are talking about how to play a bigger game, and we're focusing on one area of life. This whole series is about how to empower the 7 areas of life in order to increase your impact, income, and fulfillment. And today we are focusing on the social area of life, how you can increase your social leadership, how you can increase your social leadership, and how you can grow in your business to lead and lead a more fulfilled and enjoyable life. Today we're going to talk about social power, okay? And when it comes to playing a bigger game, social power is the power in relation to other people, how other people perceive you, how you perceive others, social leadership. That's what we're looking at. And this conversation starts with the thing that holds people back in order to get their social power. Okay? And that thing is fear. Social fear. Social fear is fear of what people think, fear of other people's opinions. This fear holds people back. If you think about it in terms of why it matters to, first of all, handle this fear, is that this is one of the biggest fears, and the fear we feel in our bodies, the fear we feel emotionally or psychologically, it's similar to physical pain. So the pain that we feel, like feeling that people are going to laugh at you or people have a certain opinion about you, our body reacts in the same way. And I think this fear is the social fear has got huge anthropological roots, meaning during our evolutions as humans, we needed to live together in groups, in social groups. And when you didn't conform to the group, you would be ostracized, sent out of the group, and it was dangerous for you. So it would mean you have higher chances of just getting killed by wild animals or other humans from another whatever. They're going to hunt you and they would kill you, or or take you as a slave. So social fear has got those base roots that if you're different from society, people would banish you. That is why it has the same reaction as physical threat. So how to get rid of social fear? We just look at, if other people's opinions mattered so much, right? Why don't they pay your bills? In other words, other people's opinions should only matter if they actually pay your bills, okay? Other than that, they shouldn't. And a lot of times we exaggerate how much people are thinking about us. A lot of people are busy with their own stuff. You thinking that everybody is thinking about you, but they're not. They're all thinking about their own stuff and their own selves. They did an experiment where somebody was wearing a t-shirt, okay? Like this t-shirt I'm wearing, Game Changer Pranary. But this t-shirt had something offensive written on it. And they did that on the campus to see how many people would read and see what was written on the shirt. They found that it was actually less than 20% of the people that read and saw that thing. Everybody else was just busy doing their own thing. So we exaggerate how much we feel that people are looking at us or talking about us. And so just check when you say, hey, didn't you see what was happening in my life? And people say, oh, what? Like, oh, I won this, or this happened, or this person died, or this, and just get surprised, say, oh, I didn't see it. Say, oh, I posted it to my social media to show you that people are not watching your social media. They're not watching what you do in reality. They're busy with their own stuff. So once in a while they might, but a lot of times they're not. So it's important to make sure that you get over that fear in order to move forward as an entrepreneur, as a leader. This fear is also tied with fear of public speaking. Fear of public speaking is you're thinking that the other people will judge you, other people will know better than you, and therefore you're afraid to express yourself and to speak. So in order to increase your leadership, you need to be able to get over the social fear and social fear of public speaking. And I'll talk briefly about how you could do that right now. Okay. So here are 3 things, 3 ways to grow your leadership. 3 ways to grow your leadership. Number 1, focus on mission. Focusing on mission means you are now focusing on your hierarchy of values. Remember, we talked about empowering 7 areas of life. So these things tie in together. In the first session on spiritual, we talked about your mission, your purpose. When you're focusing on your mission, you don't really focus on what other people think and say. You are focused on your purpose, on what you're born to do, on the work that you believe will got meaning for you. For that, you are not afraid. You're not thinking about other people and their opinions. Then related to that, when you're focusing on your mission, focusing on your mission means, in your case, could be focusing on just growing your business, focusing on providing for your family, focusing on doing your best work in your company. Okay? That's very important. Then number 2, focus on service. Focusing on service and focusing on other people takes the focus away from you, but also gets you seen as a leader in your organization, whether it's your own company and somebody else's company, whether it's in your social circles. When you're focusing on service, and service doesn't mean you're just doing stuff for people, it means adding value to other people. When you're focusing on adding value to other people, you increase your social leadership and social power. And these things take time, right? Take time. Just like you keep doing stuff, as you notice, like the way I started out in my life, I started out slowly. And the first webinar that I did, I really just didn't have anybody come through, and then did a few, and a few people came through, and then working through that and building out to speaking in Silicon Valley to over 10,000 people. Okay. But that was over time. So be consistent, just do your work, and focusing on adding value. It builds up and people see your work, and it makes a big difference. Number 3, take action in your highest values. So taking action in your highest values means looking at your hierarchy of values, something that you did when you're looking at the spiritual area of life, in the spiritual area of life. What are the things that you consider important? What are the things that you love doing, talking about, spend money on, energize you, you read about, you talk to yourself about, you talk to other people about, the things that surround you? All of those, they indicate what your highest values are. And when you focus on that, you don't focus on what other people think. When you're not congruent with your highest values, you do focus on what other people think. But that, if you look at it, is actually feedback for you to go back to mission, to do what you really, really intended to do. And so focusing on your highest values will make a big difference when you are starting out and growing as a leader. So when it comes to public speaking, let me give you a few hacks. Okay. Just by indication in the chat box, how many of you are very comfortable with public speaking? Type 1 in the chat box. If you're kind of like comfortable, not comfortable, type 2. And if you're just afraid of public speaking, type 3 in the chat box. Be good to see. So you see, we're all at different points in terms of our comfort when it comes to public speaking. For those of you who are not very comfortable with public speaking, I'll give you a few hacks, okay? If you want to, when it comes to talking to people in public, number one, instead of looking at it in terms of people are going to judge me in terms of my expertise, think of it in terms of I'll just share what I know, okay? This is what I know, and this is what I think. And when you're sharing what you know, people can't argue with what you know. That's what you know, okay? And then if you're sharing what you think, if somebody says, what do you think? What do you think is what you think. They can't say that's not what you think, right? Unless you're really lying there. But when you're sharing, when you're coming from a point of view of, I want to share, that takes away the fear from, I want people to say, well done, you're very intelligent, you're very educated, you're this. So when you're focusing on you, you're really only afraid because you're focusing on yourself, okay? You are really only afraid because you're focusing on yourself. When you're focusing on other people and you want to just share, then that fear drops significantly. Then second hack for public speaking, speak loudly, speak in a way that people can hear you. When you speak softly and people are struggling to hear you, they squint or they move, they shift in their seats. When they do that, when you look at that reaction, it looks like people are arguing what you're saying when actually they just can't hear you. And the worst is when the people start murmuring and they're saying, oh, volume, volume, volume. I was in Joburg last week, actually in Joburg yesterday, but went to this particular event where the person who was speaking couldn't be heard, and people started shouting, volume, volume, we can't hear you, we can't hear you. But even with that, then it just impacts your confidence further, okay? So that's something to think about. And then another tip is do not start with an apology, okay? A lot of people love apologizing. Africans, excuse me, sorry. Why are you sorry? Okay, if you're sorry, why are you going ahead with this story, the stuff that you're sorry about? If you're sorry about asking a question, why are you doing it? Okay, don't start with an apology, okay? Because you dampen the mood. If you put your hand up, don't go sorry. Just put your hand up and then speak. And then when you are the one speaking, don't apologize. Oh, sorry, I've got a cold. Don't tell people about your problems. Okay, I've got a cold. Oh my gosh, sorry, I didn't sleep on the flight to this place. No, nobody cares. Okay, so if you are speaking in public, be on your A game. Pretend you're actually, because you're really on stage. So pretend you're stage like you're acting, like high energy. Good morning, everybody, or hi, everybody. And then with all of that, you need to practice. Like practice, practice, practice. Practice helps you to be comfortable. So if they say you're going to speak for 5 minutes, practice speaking for 5 minutes. If they say you're going to speak for 20, practice speaking for 20. If you haven't practiced, you start ad-libbing, it will also impact your confidence. And when you're communicating with other people, communicate to be understood. It's not the point where you're just talking to sound intelligent. So the best communicators communicate what they really want to communicate to the people that are in front of them. Okay, so I know for super educated people, you feel the burden or the need to sound that you're educated, so you throw in big words and all of that. And something to look out for, okay, is that when people finish speaking to you, they should feel that you made them feel good about themselves, okay? That they felt good about themselves, as opposed to they're just admiring you and feeling that you are the best person ever. And they feel like, "Ooh, I can't reach you and I can't be at your level," then you struggle to connect. So even as an entrepreneur, when you're communicating, communicate so that people can get what you are talking about, and you talk according to their values. Cool. Type your questions in the chat box and I'll be happy to answer questions. Okay. Type questions in the chat box. I'll be happy to answer questions on how you can easily or quickly increase your social leadership. Great. So another thing that you can do, this is answering a question like, what are some of the things to consider when trying to establish yourself? Like, what are the things to consider when you're trying to establish yourself as a leader? Okay. Another something which is tied to focusing on your mission is that when you focus on other people, you grow in leadership. So think about it this way: your area of influence and expansion depends on where you're focusing on. Okay, so number one, if you want to make an impact on yourself in your life, you need to focus on other people. That's what we do. We are serving, we're working, right? And we're adding value. And then if you want to make a difference in your family, you need to focus on other people, like the neighborhood, the community. And then if you want to make a difference in the community, you need to focus on, like your neighborhood, you need to focus on the whole city. And if you want to make a difference in your city, you need to focus on the country. And if you want to make a difference in your country and to have a reputation and leadership in your country, you need to focus on the continent. And if you want to make a difference and be recognized as a leader and to grow as a leader in the continent, you need to focus on the whole globe, have a global vision. And if you want to make a difference and impact on the globe, you need to have an astronomical vision and focus on other planets and galaxies and focusing on generations way past you. So you will see that the people who have bigger businesses are not thinking about themselves, and they're not even thinking about the immediate family and them. They're focusing on others. So you just look on the list of like most influential people and leaders and billionaires and all of that. They have massive vision, and the vision is not about them. So it's the same thing for you. Increase that, and it will make a big difference for your life. The question from Dr. Georgia Weslati: as an outsider to a culture or place, how does one best raise an influence or establish oneself? Great. So as an outsider, there are a few steps you can follow, Georgia, as an outsider. Number one, when you come in as an outsider, you listen. Okay, you listen. You start listening to what is the conversation, what's the culture, what's happening there, and then by listening, you start learning what the important things are to the culture or to the people that you're talking about. And then number two, you focus on. And number two, after you listen to the conversation, then you start adding value. You start adding value, and the value is according to what the people consider valuable. And then by doing that, people start to see that you're actually adding value, and they start looking up to you and following. And when you start then three, you bring more resources and value, and you can start speaking and shining the light on other people, on what you're doing on your community. And then you grow also in terms of, if you want to make a difference on that culture. If it's Botswana, then you start looking at SADC. And by you being influential on the SADC level, continental level, or global level, then you'll be a leader in your country.
question from Numisa. How do you balance not caring about what people think and maintaining a good reputation? Great. So not caring about what other people think, that's a good question, because other people think that not caring about what other people think, it just means just do anything and be careless and be reckless. No, it just means you think about your intention. One, what's your intention? What do you want to do? I want to communicate this. If that's your intention, and then that's what you focus on. And then I want to focus, my intention is to communicate this. And then the question is also, what do I want? Why do I want to do this? I want people to progress. I want people to grow. I want people to learn this. So I want to, whatever you want to do, I want people to change this. When you're focusing on that, then it shifts from judgment, like in terms of what people will say or think about you. Okay. And then that way you maintain a good reputation. And good reputation means really what other people consider acceptable in a particular area. Okay. So that you need just to see what's acceptable in that area. But a lot of times people are just afraid, and they've made up these rules that this is what the good reputation means. Okay. But as a leader, you said what that is for you and according to your society. So sometimes people think that, as an example, if I'm listening to this type of music, it means I'm ruining my reputation. Or if people see me dancing on social media, it ruins my reputation. Or if I say this, so I use certain type of language, or I do this, like it ruins a reputation. But that's not really true. Okay. So for instance, like certain people that I know, like global leaders and all of that, and teachers and religious even, they swear, they do swear. And does their reputation diminish? Like, no. But then being aware that if you did that in church, for instance, that would be like the wrong place. Okay. And you're doing that in front of your parents, if they find that offensive, that would be a wrong place. But just being aware of context helps you maintain your reputation. But there are a lot of other things that where the reputation you think is the case, people don't actually care. To give you an example, there's a Nobel Prize winner, one of my favorite Nobel laureates, prize winners, Richard Feynman, the physicist, amazing guy. Like, he died now, but he made massive contributions. But for Richard Feynman, he was learning, and says, conquering his fear of women, right? It's like respected physicist, but also he just loved going to strip clubs. That's what you do. So there was a case where they needed to close that particular strip club, and they asked the people. So the people are making a case, say, don't close this strip club. And they asked around, like, okay, who are the people who can come and make a case for this? Okay, so a lot of men would go there, and it was just him. He went alone to say, don't close the strip club. But what does it do to his reputation? Okay, so his reputation in this area of expertise is massive, that him just living his best life doesn't do much to that. Okay, so that's an example. Jan van der Berg says, how can I overcome my fear of speaking to people? I only open up to people when I meet the second time. Okay, so something you can do, Jan, is that you focus on them. Okay, and I know it's difficult for introverts to do that, but focus on, to meet other people and just talk, but focus on the other person. So you can go and walk up to them. Hi, my name is Jan, and this is what I do. Cool. What's your name? And the other person speaks. Then you can just start asking them questions. Oh, cool. Tell me more. Like, oh, my name is Dalumbo. I'm from Pranary. Oh, what's Pranary? Say, oh, Pranary is a practical business school for entrepreneurs. Oh, that's fantastic. So what do you do? Do you work with entrepreneurs? What are you helping them get funding? Whatever. You ask another question. But another important thing, when you're asking questions, you can ask questions in two ways. There is one where it sounds like an interrogation. What do you do? I'm an educator. Where? Pranary. What's Pranary? Pranary is a practical business school. Where are you based? We are global, but our office is in Cape Town. What type of people do you work with? Entrepreneurs. And then what this, like that. It sounds like, whoa, hold on. It's like, are you interrogating me? It's like you're trying, like, you're not letting me breathe. So how you now move from just interrogation type questions to conversation type questions, you add in a few things. And so I say, we're based in Cape Town. Oh, fantastic. By the way, I haven't been to Cape Town, or I've been to Cape Town, or I love Cape Town, or whatever. Oh, that's fantastic. And then what type of entrepreneurs do you work with? We work with small business. Small business, like, is it any particular sector? No, any sector. Oh, that's really good. So, okay, now I know. When I think about somebody who needs this type of business, they can talk to you. Great. And are you from South Africa or whatever? You say, oh, I'm from this place. And that, so when somebody answers, you add in a little bit, and then I'll go on to the next thing. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you very much. I think we've answered all the questions.